Respected dignitaries, media, ladies and gentlemen. It's both an honor and a privilege to stand before you today at the Nepal Infrastructure Summit 2024, a flagship event that has been a beacon of hope and progress in our nation since 2014. I extend my deepest gratitude to CNI and Government of Nepal and the youth community of Nepalese contractors for orchestrating this significant gathering. Over the years, the Nepal Infrastructure Summit has blossomed into a premier platform, convening over thousands of participants from government bodies, private enterprises, international stakeholders, and thought leaders. This summit is not just an event, it's a crucible for collaboration, innovation, and transformative ideas in the infrastructure sector. As we gather here today, it is imperative to reflect on the state of infrastructure in Nepal, which touches the very core of our economic and social well-being. Our infrastructure projects predominantly face severe delays and inefficiencies. Take, for example, the Melanchi water project, initiated in the late 90s to quench the thirst of Kathmanduites. Similarly, the Butwal Narayanghat and Bhaktapur Dhulikhel road, crucial for improving transportation and trade routes, face ongoing delays, leading to traffic congestion and higher transportation cost and loss of productivity. In contrast, our neighbor India set a world record by constructing a 100-kilometer stretch of road in just 100 hours. The feat highlights what is possible with strong project management, resource allocation, and technological integration. Nepal must take inspiration from these examples to improve its infrastructure delivery mechanism and stay competitive. On a positive note, however, we do have success stories. The Middle Marsandi hydroelectricity project has significantly contributed to the national grid despite initial setbacks. Projects like Arun 3 are progressing well. The other mega projects like the Pancheshwar and the Karnali Basin should be prioritized as they hold the key to closing our energy infrastructure gap. The contrasting outcomes of these projects offer valuable lessons. The failure of timely execution, as seen with Melanchi, alongside delays in major road projects, emphasizes the urgent need to reform in our project development modalities. In contrast, the success of Middle Marsandi illustrates the impact of effective planning, stakeholder management, and adaptability. We must confront these challenges relating to the airport projects. We built Pokhara International Airport and Gautam Buddha International Airport, and I'm happy to note that the Right Honorable Prime Minister, as soon as he took charge of the office, immediately initiated a meaningful and conclusive dialogues to open these airports and enhance the traffic. However, we still need to act, and I'm happy to see the CEO of the AirAsia here and reaffirming from this podium the restarting of the linkages between Thailand and Nepal through AirAsia. I also understand that there are serious discussions going on to have these projects managed under PPP model. Infrastructure is just not about construction. It has to be a holistic development. Looking beyond our borders, we can learn from the international examples. South Korea, after the Korean War, South Korea was one of the poorest countries globally. We just heard the Nobel laureate here. Through strategic government planning, which he emphasized, investment in infrastructure and fostering private sector participation, it rapidly industrialized. The development of Incheon International Airport, now a global aviation hub, showcases how visionary projects can drive a nation's economy. China's special economic zones, SEZs, cities like Shenzhen, transformed from small fishing village into a mega city in just a few decades through tax incentives and regulatory reforms. Nepal must consider creating such zones to attract investment and catalyze infrastructure development. While the challenges we face are multifaceted, they are not unsurmountable. We must address key issues of execution delays and quality standard. Frequent political changes and bureaucratic inertia contribute to delays and poor quality projects. Establishing independent project management offices that remain insulated from political fluctuations is essential to ensuring continuity and adherence to the quality standard. Financing and investment. Nepal's over-reliance on loans for major projects places a significant burden on the economy. We must explore innovative financing mechanism, including the public-private partnerships, which can mobilize private capital and expertise. For instance, the Trishuli 3A hydropower projects demonstrates the potentials of PPPs. Simplifying regulatory procedures is critical. Implementing a one-stop shop for project approvals can reduce delays and make Nepal more attractive to both domestic and foreign investors. Infrastructure projects should be developed holistically. For instance, while we have increased hydropower production, the lack of adequate transmission line hinders efficient electricity distribution. Similarly, our airports cannot reach full capacity without proper air routes agreement and supporting facilities, and that's why privatization of the airport under public-private partnership for management. A successful model from India's PPP framework, which our president also talked about, hybrid annuity model, which is called the HAM, introduces to address challenges in traditional build, operate, transfer models, especially in road construction. In HAM, the government contributes 40% upfront during the construction, while the private developer finances the remaining 60% through equity and debt. This reduces financial risk and ensures a steady cash flow through biannual annuity payments, eliminating reliance on uncertain toll revenues. Nepal can benefit from adopting HAM, particularly for road infrastructure along the key routes between India and China. By reducing developers' financial exposure and guaranteeing returns through annuity program, we can attract more private sector participation and accelerate road infrastructure development. Nepal has also made significant strides in sustainability, particularly in the electric vehicle sector. Between 2020 to 23, and Nepal saw a 245% increase in the EV imports, with 80% of the private vehicle imports now electric. This transformation has helped reduce fossil fuel dependency and carbon emissions by an estimated of 1.5 million metric tons annually. The EV penetration rate in Nepal is amongst the highest in South Asia. This should inspire further investments in renewable energy, climate resilience infrastructure. Nepal's strategic location positions it at the heart of the South Asia East Asia corridor, uniquely placed to serve as bridge between India and China. World's two largest and the fastest growing economy, while inter-regional trade in South Asia remains below 5%, Nepal can capitalize on its position by improving infrastructure to serve as a transit hub, unlocking new trade and investment opportunities. Investing in projects like the East-West Railway, strategic highways and airport connectivity with not only strengthen domestic infrastructure, will also boost Nepal's role in regional economic integration. Our focus must extend to airport infrastructure, which is critical to facilitating tourism. Let us envision, my friends, therefore, a Nepal where infrastructure is not a bottleneck but a catalyst for growth, where our airports operate at full capacity, connecting us to the world. where our hydropower not only lights up our home, but also powers our neighbors, where our tourism industry attracts millions, creating jobs and promoting cultural exchanges, where our agriculture sector thrives, feeding our people and exporting value-added products, and where every citizen, regardless of where they live, has access to the opportunity that infrastructure begins. Thank you.
Thank you very much.